Okay, I am going to do a quick video on how to sharpen your knife if you don't have a sharpening system with you. So I'm just going to show you this knife isn't dull, I guess, but as you can see it's cutting through this paper just fine, but it's about as dull as I would want it to get. At this point I would begin to sharpen it. It was getting a little frustrating out there. So what I'm going to use are these rocks, and you can see they're rounded, like from a river would be good if you can find a stream bed or something like that, something that has had the corners knocked off, stuff like that. But you want to look for ones that have a flat edge to them. If you can see right here, there's a flat edge, or along this there's a flat edge. This one I could use along here, but I'm actually going to use this thin edge so that it's gives me a little bit coarser grind. And then I've also got this other rock. This one's a lot harder, a lot smoother. This one will just be to finish it up, give a good solid edge on it. So first thing you want to do is you just want to get them wet. I'm not going to be doing a lot of spitting on this video, so what we're actually going to do, this kills me, but we're going to dull my knife a little bit more just so that the effect is a little bit more obvious. And I don't know if you can tell, but it's definitely a lot coarser. It's tearing instead of cutting. So yeah, that's not something you really want to do with your knife. So what we're going to do is we're going to start with the coarsest one that I have, just this edge here. You're going to hold the knife at a 30 to 40 degree angle. If you hold it less than 30, then you're just grinding this back bevel up here, the back part of the knife. If you hold it more than 40, then you're just grinding on the edge. So shoot for about a 30 to 40 degree angle, somewhere in there. And for this one, I'm just going to do long straight strokes like this, and I'm going to focus on a little bit of my knife at a time. I'm not going to do the whole thing because the stone is kind of small, and do a little bit at a time. And then if you can switch hands, it's easier. If you can't switch hands and maintain the same angle, then what you have to do is you have to come upwards like this, which may be doable, may not. Just see what you can do. Alright. So what you want to do is just be checking, looking along the blade, making sure no burrs are forming, making sure you're keeping consistent strokes on it, and just keep going. Depending on how dull your blade is how long you'll want to do this. But since this blade has been dulled significantly, what I'm doing right now is just grinding down my surface, making sure it's flat. It felt a little bit bumpy, so I'm just gonna make sure I don't have any spots that are catching on my blade. You don't want to use sandstone for this. Sandstone will just crumble and ruin your knife. But I hope with this you get the general idea. Keeping it at a 45, long steady strokes. So what we're going to do now is we're going to go ahead and continue sharpening along this flatter edge. It will be a little bit finer grind, and you're just going to do it the way you would normally do a whetstone, just short, small circles on every part of the knife, a little bit at a time, making sure you keep it even and keep that between 30 and 40 degree angle consistent as well. Check for evenness in the sharpening. When you look at the sides, it shouldn't be grinding up above the bevel at all. It should be grinding down on the edge, and making sure no burrs are forming or anything like that. And I think I'm gonna try this bigger one and see how this one works. Just compare relative coarseness, stuff like that, and then I'll know which one will be coarse and which one will be fine. I can kind of gauge from that and go from there. As far as you use coarse first, fine second, and see where you end up. If you feel the blade, you should feel some pull on your finger. It should almost feel a little sticky. That means you're getting there. You're doing something right. So just keep going, doing what you're doing, and eventually you'll end up with a sharp knife. If it starts to dry out, make sure you get it wet again. You don't want your knife getting chewed up by the rock. When the rock dries out, it'll crumble and then become uneven, and it won't sharpen your knife at all. So I had to come inside. It was getting too dark outside, so the last step that I'm going to do is just put a fine edge on this hard stone that's a lot smoother, and it'll almost feel like you're sharpening on glass. It won't necessarily feel like you're abrading anything off of the knife. Just make sure you're picking the right side, the flat edge of the stone. And same principle, just back and forth, holding it at a 30 to 40 degree angle. And should be pretty good. If you look right here, this is the previous, after I had rubbed it on the rock, that's how rough the cut was. We're going to compare to that and see how we're doing, see if we've got any progress made. So if you, let's do it over here. You can tell that's a much cleaner cut. Definitely put a much better edge on my knife. So I can't believe that I forgot this step. That's why I'm in different clothes and whatnot, but this is probably one of the more important steps to get a really fine edge. This is a leather belt, and what I'm going to do is just strap my knife on this. This will get it to the point where I can shave with it, thus my bared arm. So what you do is you just hold it tight, pull it as tight as you can, in less than optimum circumstances. This is the best you can do. That's great. If you can rub a fine clay or something like that onto it, it might help to clean it up a little bit. The leather's about the finest grade that you can get, and yeah, just keep going like this, a few strokes on each side. Make sure you're going away, not towards, or else you'll cut your leather. And then check your edge once you're done, and it should be good enough to shave with. So I'm not sure if you can tell the difference between hairs and scratches on there, but that is taking hair off. So that's about as sharp as I would be able to get it using a couple of rocks and a belt. So that's how you sharpen a knife.